Today we'll be looking at a video that my lovely friend, the Onceler, has provided to me. The reason we're showing this today is simply because the video, quite possibly, was the worst arguments against Christianity I have ever seen. Let's get the wackiness started, shall we?
Let's talk about some things in the Bible that don't make sense. First off, the fact that Jesus is a boy. Biologically, he would be a female since Mary didn't actually do the deed with God and there was no sperm to deliver the Y chromosome. Therefore, he literally only would have had an X chromosome, so he's either trans or something's messed up.
You what?
Already, we're starting off with a banger, so you can accept that the fact that Christ was born of a virgin, that Christ is God incarnate, but can't accept that God chose for him to be a man? Biologically, it's impossible for a boy without to have a boy without a sperm cell. Yeah, it's also impossible to have a baby without a sperm cell. That's the whole point of the incarnation. It's a miraculous birth. God doesn't have to play by our rules. He's the creator of material. He's outside of it.
It says in Leviticus that being gay is an abomination, yet many texts have even shown Jesus being gay, such as him getting his feet washed at the Last Supper. Feet is actually a euphemism for male genitalia.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a big old source and citation for that one. 2,000 years of Christian theology, and not one man could figure out that during the Last Supper, our Lord was actually fornicating with his disciples. And supper being ended, the devil having already put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going to God, rose from supper, and laid aside his garments, took a towel and girded himself. After that he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel with which he was girded. When he came to Simon Peter, and Peter said to him, "Lord, are you washing my feet?" Jesus answered and said to him, what I am doing you do not understand now, but you will know after this. Peter said to him, "You shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered him, "If I do not wash you, you have no part with me." Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." Jesus said to him, "He who is bathed needs only to wash his feet, but is completely clean, and you are clean, but not all of you." For he knew who would betray him. Therefore he said, "You are not all clean." So when he washed their feet, taken his garments, and sat down, he said to them, "Do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you say, well, for so I am. If then your Lord and teacher have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Most assuredly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is he who is sent greater than he who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them." Does any of that sound like a sexual act? No, of course not. What is this nonsense? If you make this about fornication and homosexuality, this passage makes zero sense. What was the water basin for? Why would Peter ask him to wash his head and hands? What does this have to do with his death and resurrection? Why does he command his disciples to do likewise? None of these questions have an answer if you think this is about homosexuality. You know what it is about, though? Jesus alluding to his death and resurrection, the making of his people white as snow, commanding his disciples to be humble, just as he was humble on this earth, even to the point of death. What a travesty it is to turn such a beautiful thing into degeneracy.
Agree, the Bible is so violent, yet it claims to be forgiving and loving.
This is probably the best point she has. Even if it's not a good one, her claim, as far as I understand, is that a loving God could never do harm to a person. May I remind you, the people he destroyed?
He said he gave us free will, which would explain why Judas was able to betray Jesus. But if we had free will, why are we not able to eat things like pork or any sea creatures that don't have fins or scales?
This is, hands down, the worst point, by far. Her point is, man has free will, so why does God give commands? You what?
You what?
Now, we could go into depth about the concept of the will and free will, but That's for another time. Did this person really just argue that Christianity is wrong because people can make decisions, but God gives them commands? Do I need to elaborate on why that's wrong? Get this. The idea of free will and commands are not mutually exclusive. That's enough Wacko World for me. I'm going back to my corner to make more New Vegas videos now. See you next time. Bye-bye.